Welcome in. It is day 130 and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And today we're going to be jumping into a game that we've already reviewed, a game from its family. It was a roll roar and write version. Today we're reviewing Dinosaur Island. Now, Dinosaur Island is a game that I was so excited to get. I got it last Christmas and it was my biggest played game via my choice this year for my friends for Monday nights. We each get to pick a game. It's basically you get to pick a game every 5 weeks. There's a 5-person rotation. So roughly in a year, you get about 10 choices, maybe 11. So out of my 10 choices, I chose this game since last Christmas 3 times. It was 3 choices in a row. Reason being is I really liked it and I wanted to get a point of really getting to play a lot. I started doing that more this year where normally we would just always pick different games. And before I started the channel, where now I'm specifically trying to pick games I haven't played before, I realized, hey, we have all these games we love, but that we play it, we're excited, and then we move on to the next game. And I decided I didn't like that. So I started trying to pick a game, and if I enjoyed it, say, I'm picking it again, and I'm picking it right away again, so that I can really start to appreciate this. And all of a sudden, in a 3-month span, I played the game at least once a month. And if people really liked it, sometimes they'd pick it as well. You know, this was picked by me only 3 times, but I have another game in Dune Imperium that between me and everybody else, I think we've now picked it 5 or 6 times. So we've really gotten to play the game a lot and learn that game. So this game plays out as essentially Jurassic Park. The idea is that we all have our different parks going on, and in our parks we have to try to find amusement rides, food, merch. We're trying to make money. We're trying to attract the patrons. We have to make pens to put dinosaurs in. There's loads of different types of dinosaurs. In order to get all this stuff, you need to get your DNA. Your DNA is what you're using to put together to try to make your different types of dinosaurs. You're making, small dinosaurs, medium dinosaurs, large dinosaurs. Are they herbivores? Are they carnivores? Based on what you're doing, you're investing in different types of characters that you're trying to figure out, like, hey, this person's going to help out with the dinosaurs. This one's going to help out with the merch. This one makes me more money. This one gets me more DNA experience. Based on all of that, you're still trying to look out for security. As you make more dinosaurs and more dinosaurs get in your park, it gets dangerous. And you have to look out for, when you get to a scoring point, having the situation of you have more danger than security, because for every single step over, you're going to lose a patron who gets eaten. Now, when it comes to the patrons, that's interesting too, because you actually pull them from a bag. So based on however many patrons you're going to bring into your park, you're going to select them out of the bag randomly. You have, I want to say it's 100 total patrons, and 9 of them are pink. Now, the concept is you're pulling them at random. So this is the only part of the game that it can be tough. But I do find a little bit of luck is fun in a game, as long as it's just a little. So you're pulling them out, and as you do, you're going to have 91 of them be yellow. That means it's a regular patron. So if the patron comes in, you're going to end up making money, and those are the ones at risk. But then you also can pull the pinks. The pinks are patrons who have, basically, they broke in. These are patrons that managed to find a way to sneak into the park, so they didn't pay. So you're not getting paid for the pink patrons. And on top of that, if you do have more dinosaurs than you have security, the dinosaurs don't eat those patrons. They only eat the yellow ones. I'm assuming it's because they're going to say they're sneaky, so they know how to get away from the dinosaurs. In my opinion, whatever. But it's just an interesting concept of this rando factor. Now, there is ways to offset it, because you can invest in people that allow you to do like a repull from a bag, or that specifically say, if you pull X amount, you would get to ignore like 2 of the pinks and stuff like that. So there's ways around it that can make it so that luck is really offset. But I've definitely played a few games of this, and during those games, if we noticed that somebody was like killing it, it was usually because when we did our pulls, no matter how many people were being pulled, somebody ended up being lucky, and they were like, wow, I pulled more than you guys have, and I've barely gotten a single pink. And then somebody else would be like, I've pulled the fewest, and I pull like 2 pinks every time. It happens. But it's part of the game. Well, why don't we jump in and talk about all our 7 categories and see where this really ranks for us. The art of this game is really nice. This is one of those covers that, when I got this game, I wasn't sure about the cover. I think that the color scheme was different, but the cover just kind of was weird to me. But I do like it. And then I realized, it grabs your eye. It brings you to it in a store. It's hard not to go read about the game and watch a video after you're in a store and this box is there. It stands out on a shelf. Sometimes art doesn't have to be bad, but art can be weird. And it's good because even somebody who has a better artistic piece, a better cover, they don't stand out from the bunch enough compared to what this does. And that got me to the video. When it comes to the board and everything itself, I think it continues the theme of showing the dinosaurs, showing the colors, the vibrancy of a theme park. I really liked it. So it's a big thumbs up on that art. The components. Now, as I was describing the game, the one thing I kind of left out, which is an essential piece, are those dice. It's the same concept as the dice from the Dinosaur Island Roar and Write. And those dice are a huge factor to this. Those dice to me are such a cool component. I think of all the games I've played that have dice included, those are the best dice I've ever played with. And then you break from there to the cards that you're collecting, to the wooden meeples that you're pulling out of the bags, to your little plastic dinosaurs you're using. It's all really good components. I gotta give it a thumbs up. The game is expensive. You're looking at $60 minimum on this. It could be more expensive based on if a store's had it there for a while or not, because you keep seeing an increase in these shipping prices. But this isn't going to be found in a Target. You might find it in Barnes & Noble, but I don't think it's very popular there. You'll find it in a lot of board game stores. I think you'll find it at least in 3 out of 5. But that price is up there. And while I really like the game, I think we're starting to see a little bit of a flux of these different types of dinosaur games. You got Dinosaur Island, you got Dinosaur World, you have Dinosaur Island Roar and Write. You've got Triassic Terror, which I reviewed recently, which is from back in the day, but it's still a dinosaur game. You've got your there's a couple other ones that I'm forgetting the name of right now. But the idea being that you've got a lot of dinosaur games starting to emerge, and I know there was a I want to say, I forget the name of the island, but there's a Jurassic Park specific game. One grabbed me the least, but the idea being it's a lot coming out. And with that happening, the theme isn't feel like you have to buy this now to get a dinosaur game. And for the price it's worth, as much as I like the game, I do think it's a bit expensive. I only got it because I put it on a Christmas list and I got it for a Secret Santa. So that was the way I got the game. Would I have bought it on my own? I think I would have had I played it first, but nobody else owned it, so when was I going to get around to playing it? So I have to give it a thumbs down on that price. The difficulty, it's not that difficult. This is an interesting game in the fact that there is a lot going on. And when you're judging this based on your 4 different groups I've gone through this past couple months, I think that as cool looking as it is, I think a kid would get lost here. I wouldn't include a kid. Beginners, you can play this game in a way where a beginner is not going to be lost, and they're gonna probably lose, but I think they can enjoy it because you roll your dice, you select them, you spend them to go get your actions. You then go and you do your purchasing of your different types of new upgrades for your cards. You then go in and you actually build into your park, and then you get your new patrons, and you figure out what happened with the dinosaurs attacking, with the people surviving. So there's only really about 4 stages of the game. I think that a beginner can enjoy it, an experienced player loves it, and an expert player, this is their game. Because it definitely, on like a 1 to 5 scale, I feel like it is about that 4 for difficulty. It's just barely a 4, but it's there. There's a lot going on, and you definitely are trying to track not only what's going on in your park, but you're trying to keep track of your neighbors too, if you can. I think that's where that shift becomes, because an expert player knows they can track everybody else, and they're playing all sorts of boards. Experienced player, same thing. But that beginner player can just ignore everybody else and focus on their own game and enjoy the game. So I think it's a thumbs up on that difficulty. Replayability. Now, this is not a replayable game in the same day. It takes a couple hours, probably between setup, playing, and pack up. You're talking about 2.5 hour game. But when it comes to playing it repetitively in a year, as I said, I picked this literally once a month when it was my choice. Had I had 3 weeks in a row, I probably would have picked it 3 weeks in a row. That being said, I think this is the kind of game that if you have a small collection, you could get this to the table at least once a month. If you have a medium-sized collection, you could still get this game to the table like 4 times a year. And if you have a big collection like I do, it's just up to how much you like the game. I liked it. It's definitely one I'll pick again, and my friends enjoy it, so I know they're going to pick it at some point. So I still think 4 times a year is a fair number. So I got to give it a big thumbs up on that replayability. Your keys to victory. So there are a lot of keys to victory here, because you don't have to worry about actually packing your park with dinosaurs. It gives you the most likely way of getting big points, but you could instead say, I don't want dinosaurs at all. I'm going to focus in on building up my money. I want to focus in on trying to, if I don't have a lot of dinosaurs, I don't have to worry about the security. So I'm going to go and I'm going to spend all that money instead in the park, get more merch, get more ways to bring in the patrons. Now, I know that when it comes to bringing in those patrons, when it comes to raising that money, your best way is through your actual dinosaurs, but you have to be aware of what are you going to do. Just because that's the best way to bring them in doesn't mean you have to get, say, the carnivores. Yes, an herbivore, a small dinosaur is still going to be raising up your risk factor, but you could go, I'm going to go mediocre. I'm just going to get the small dinosaurs, the herbivores. It's going to mean it's a little bit less on the payout, a little bit less on the patron possibility, but it's going to give me some of that, and I won't need as much to expend out on the security, and as a result, that combo means I have more money to spend on things to help elsewhere in the park. There is ways to go around here and figure out what works best for everybody, and because of the way this game has been designed, you really don't have a game-to-game guaranteed good or bad decision. So I'm going to give that a big thumbs up. Finally, there is the question of unique. Is this unique? I really like this game, and I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I was actually more interested in getting Dinosaur World. I just so happened to put them both on the list and got Dinosaur Island for my Secret Santa that year. That being said, I think that game looked comparable to this just from watching the playthrough, and now you've got Dinosaur Island's Roar and Right, which definitely takes a bunch of pieces of this. Yes, it's not a perfect replica, but it copies those dice. It copies the idea of building the park. It copies the idea of having to buy those assistants and the upgrades to your park. So for me, there are choices. If I want to have a game of Dinosaur Island, but I just don't want to spend the time, I can play Roar and Right. If I want to play Dinosaur Island, but I'm looking to play I want to pick between, I think Dinosaur World is an option for people. So I do think that this game is unfortunately not unique enough to get it. I have to give it a thumbs down there. But for that being said, it's an amazing game. Don't let me taking away from the unique factor make you think it's not worth being in the collection. I'm probably going to get Dinosaur World for my collection as well, and I have a feeling I'm going to like this more, but I just like to have options, and dinosaur games really weren't an option for a long time, and I love dinosaurs, so I'm jumping at it now. So overall, what do I think? I really like this game. I think that this is a must-play. It is not a must-buy, it's a must-play. Try and get this to your table and see if you like it. But that's just my opinion. Maybe this is not your type of theme. Maybe this is just too big and complicated of a game. Or maybe this is just going off in a weird direction and you're like, I don't want to have to be dealing with understanding security and the threat level. And like, I just want to roll dice, or I just want to worker place or something like that. It may just not line up for you. And if that's the case, that's all right. Because this is a big game with a lot going on that is distinct from non-dinosaur leveled games. Well, you have been talking to me on the day. Well, it is day 130, and we've been speaking about the game Dinosaur Island. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding in an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.